Okay, you preheat your oven to 180 degrees. Then you grease and line a 16 by 28, doesn't have to be 16 by 28, but about this size tin. If you have your own one at home, that would be really, really amazing, because we are starting to run out of these. Don't have that many left. So if you've got a tin about this size, bring it in. If you don't worry, we do have some. And then you've got to line the tin. And here's another thing I saw quite a bit. People lining tins, and then there's like half a kilometer of paper hanging over. You've got to make it the right size. And if you are not able to cut it the right size, then put your tin on the paper and then you just draw around it. And then you know exactly how large it should be, because it needs to fit in there really nicely. Line tin. And then we beat the eggs and sugar together. You crack your eggs into the bowl, 1 egg, 2 eggs. Oh, we're gonna turn the whisk on, put that in the eggs, and then gradually, which means sort of little bit by little bit, add the sugar. That's all the sugar in. So it says on the recipe it's got to be thick and pale. And where do the bubbles come from? There's obviously air in there, because when you whisk it, what happens is air gets mixed into the egg and then it kind of gets trapped in there a little bit. It's a bit like bubble bath, so it makes lots of foam, but then just like bubble bath, eventually the air goes out. It was excellent whisking there. So this is now almost completely white. Like you've seen, it is fluffy. There's lots of air in there. And now we do something that's called folding in the flour. And folding is where you take a metal spoon and then either you do a number 8, or you go around the edges in a circle and cut through the middle. So basically you're just stirring it, but really gently. Why really gently? Why am I not like, think air bubbles? The opposite. Exactly, nice. It's good thinking on your feet there. If you stir it really hard, then you're going to knock all the air out and it'll be like... So if you just gently fold your flour in, then you're keeping, hopefully, as much air as you can. All right, then you put your tin, and remember it's got to have paper in there. Excellent. On here, your nines, comes, remember this thing, which I always tell you every year what it is. It's a spatula and what it's for, but we hardly ever use it. Now, it's the perfect opportunity, because that'll get every last little bit of mixture out that bowl. And not only will it do that, it will also flatten out the mixture in the tin. And all the way there. And it's going to be quite thin, but what should happen in the oven? It'll expand a little bit. Firstly, because it's got self-raising flour, but also because there's air in there. And what does air do when it gets hot? Expands. It expands. So the air in this mixture will expand. So that goes in there for, it says 10 to 12 minutes, but 8 minutes sometimes, so it might be quicker than you think. Let's see what happens next. So While the sponge is baking, sprinkle 2 tablespoons sugar over a square of baking parchment. Okay, so about 1/4 of a jar, probably about that much, and then what you can do is stir that. And nobody wants blobs. Counting lottery in your head.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay, you want one of these palette knife, then Swiss roll done, palette knife, loosen the edges, and obviously you've got to be careful, this is going to be really hot, it's come straight out the oven. Edges off here, edges off here. Because now this needs to go onto the sugar upside down, so you probably want another oven glove. I'm gonna turn it here. Oven can go off. Good idea, well done.
Archie finally had a good idea.
Well done, Archie. And then hopefully once stuck, that comes off. Then you take off your paper. You do need to make sure it's not cooked too much, because if it's cooked too much, the paper will probably not come off. Then you need to score it, which means you just press with your palette knife and you make a little dent. You can fold it.
Why are you wearing an oven glove?
And then, look closely, we're going to roll it up using our paper, like that. And like that. And then, still in our paper, we're going to just wrap it in the paper and just let it lie there for a couple of minutes. What's it doing?
Cooling down,
Why is it just lying there? Why aren't I putting the jam in?
because it'll be too hot to put it on.
Firstly, it's too hot, and now, whilst it's still warm and I've rolled it, it's going to settle into that shape. So now we've got Swiss roll, nicely stuck together. And the sugar on the paper has now obviously gone on the outside. And now you unroll it. The back of your spoon, just like you were doing some toast. Then you roll it back up. And then the edge, obviously, you want to have at the bottom because you don't want to see that. Then use a knife, usually cut off the edges just to make it a bit neat. And little Swiss roll goes there.